In Harvey Penick's wonderful Little Red Book, he described why he was so enthusiastic about practicing with a 7-iron, having his clients practice with a 7-iron. And in fact, he wrote that whole book really as a guide to teaching. And it's well worth a little further discussion in the pub. Penick's enthusiasm for teaching a newcomer to the game with a 7-iron, or a mashie niblick, as it would have been called 100 years earlier, just like this one, was because he wanted that golfer to have success. If you try, for instance, another club that he referred to as being not uncommonly chosen by teachers, the 3-iron, you're talking about a golf club that even quite competent golfers can't hit. And the idea that that's the one that you beat your head against the wall trying to hit doesn't really make a lot of sense. I totally agreed with him. Now, the 7-iron has sort of evolved because of the technological improvements over the last 40 years. And so a 7-iron traditionally is now called an 8-iron. And my habit has always been to expand, but generally follow his recommendation, which is to teach my clients that since nobody has unlimited amount of time to practice, that they should practice with their 8-iron and their rescue club, which is like a long-nosed wood from 200 years ago. It sort of replaces those 3-irons. And so each of those clubs is sort of equidistant in from either end of the set. 8-iron in about here, rescue club in about here. And if you get those two working competently well, the chances are it can expand to all the other clubs in the bag. There's a personal connection for me too, because when we moved to Scotland from England when I was 15, my father took the game up for the second time in his life. And we went to a football field to hit a few balls just so that he could get back up to speed. And the first day, we went 2 days, he put plastic balls on tees, just like the ones I use here, and I would hit those. The second day, he put 2 plastic ones and a real ball on a tee. And I was using a 7-iron, and the 2 plastic ones went where I expected them to, very nice. And then I hit the real one, and I had no idea where to look, and he pulled me by the shoulder and pointed, and it was still going up, and had this climbing draw, which obviously is a term you've heard me use commonly. That's where it started. And that shot of euphoria is something that was referenced when I was thrilled to be a participant at Spanish Bay recently at the PGA Awards ceremony, the Northern California chapter. And their subsequent meeting the following day at Quail. And so one of the speakers talked about the euphoric shot that captures many people's hearts right the second it happens and leads them to a lifetime of enjoying and sometimes cursing the game of golf. And of course, golf pros are a perfect example of that, because they hit a golf ball at whatever age they did, it captured them, and they find themselves now at the pinnacle of their profession. And so very personal thing that that 7-iron was the one I was hitting in Scotland 50 odd years ago. And so he referenced also that once you start practicing and then going for the golf course, the idea that you should be working a lot with the driver, he thought was not realistic. And in fact, when I was in Scotland learning to play the game, several of the boys with whom I commonly played didn't hit their driver at all. They hit a 3-wood and did extremely well. And I generally recommend that to my newcomers to the game, to tee off with a 3-wood, off a low tee, of course, and learn to hit that. One final point about the 7-iron is he referenced how you could actually reach a fairly long hole with just a succession of 7-irons, and that your familiarity with hitting that club, because of your practicing with it, is going to give you a great deal of more confidence that you can play the game and get the ball on the green and have a chance at a putt. And there was one hole, the 12th hole, a dogleg par 5 at Boyce Hill, where I did my apprenticeship, which in the summer particularly, because the landing area was downslope, which would run across the adjacent fairway into some trees, it was better for me to hit 3 7-irons. I'd hit one over the corner, one down the fairway, and one on the green. And it just reminded me of that. It was wonderful.